We're seeing a return of the so-called back alley abortion. Joining me now is the author of that article, Laura Bassett. Laura, first of all, thank you for being here tonight. Great to be here. Women have a right to choose, Laura. So how did we get here?
I don't know. I thought this was settled in 1973. You know, Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decided in Roe v. Wade that women should legally be able to get an abortion up until the fetus is viable around 22 to 24 weeks. And anti-abortion advocates, particularly over the last 3 years, have been really successful chipping away at those rights by passing little bitty laws that add up to a really big deal. And we're seeing it the worst in Texas right now. I would call it an all-out crisis in Texas. Not only are legislators slashing the family planning budget to, I mean, 75 clinics have closed in Texas that were only providing birth control and IUDs and other health services to low-income women.
75 clinics have closed in Texas.
75 family planning clinics have closed. They weren't even providing abortions. And in addition to that, 24 abortion clinics have closed, and a bunch more are expected to close by September. So access is really, really bad down there.
Let me raise this that was really striking to me. Women in Texas are crossing the border to Mexico for abortion alternatives. You're right. The lack of abortion access in Texas is already pushing pregnant women back across the border. At Mexican pharmacies, they can purchase a drug that the labeled use of preventing gastric ulcers, but which can also induce abortions. And our colleague at the Rachel Maddow show spoke to the CEO of a group that owns abortion clinics in Texas. Listen to what she says about the women taking abortions into their own hands. Listen to this.
We saw an increase of self-induction in 2012, at the end of 2012, and then we've seen an even greater increase right now. With flea markets, with crossing the border, and the sad thing is the misuse of the medication. Something that is actually pretty safe, women could really do harm to themselves by not knowing what to do because they're not getting professional medical advice or care. So it's heartbreaking, I know, for some of the physicians I work with, who are highly trained to provide safe care, and then their hands are tied now.
Not only is it extreme, Laura, it is dangerous, especially for women that don't have means if something goes wrong to try to help themselves medically correct something. This is extremely dangerous.
You're right. This pill is not intended to take on one's own without the supervision of a doctor. And I've talked to doctors down there who are saying women are coming in bleeding after having taken 50 of the pills and putting them in every orifice of their body because they don't know how to take it. It's a very complicated pill to self-administer. You have to take 12 and put them under the tongue at different time intervals. And for people who don't know what they're doing, that's a really scary undertaking. And then if you take it with an ectopic pregnancy, or if anything goes wrong, side effects include death. So this is very much of a modern back alley abortion, and it's really dangerous.
I mean, that expression you just said, back alley abortion. This is 2014. I thought that was a thing of the past.
Right, we all did, and stories have been flooding in, not only from pre-Roe days. I mean, I've had the most heartbreaking stories roll into my inbox this week. People telling me that they sprayed Lysol into themselves, that they had their partner punch them in the stomach, that they intentionally fell down the stairs, and then stories from nowadays about women going over the border and taking the pill and not realizing that they hadn't entirely passed the placenta and ending up hemorrhaging in the emergency room. So a lot of the same things that were happening before abortion was legal are happening again now, and I think it's really scary.
That's why we have to pay close attention to what's going on in these state legislatures. It's very, very serious. Laura Bassett from the Huffington Post, great reporting, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Still ahead, Donald Rumsfeld.